Okay, so let me use an example to illustrate to you the law of diminishing marginal return, or LDR. On your y-axis, okay, we have the total production of wheat. So before I go into the y and x-axis, alright, this is a story of a farm. Okay, and the farm employs two kind of factor of production. We have your fixed input. Okay, so it could be a harvester. Okay, and your variable input, it is your worker. Okay, fixed input is something that you cannot change in the short run, or your fixed factor. Variable input or variable factor is your FOP that you can change in the short run. Alright, so your y-axis, it is the amount of wheat that the farm can harvest. So you can actually see is between 0 to 1,400 units. And on the x-axis, you actually see that this is the number of workers employed. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Alright, there is no axis for the harvester. Okay, meaning to say there is always assumed to be one harvester. Alright. So now I want you to use your pencil, okay, and quickly denote the amount of wheat production at every worker. Alright, so all the points here, please quickly match it to the y-axis. Okay, it simply tells you the number of wheat for every number of worker. Okay, please quickly find out the numbers. We'll pause the video for here. Okay, and once you are ready, we will carry on with the video. All right. Let's look carefully. Okay, for the first worker, we have 100 production. Second, it is 2 workers, it is 300. 3 workers is 900. 4 workers is 1,002. 5 workers is 1,003. 6 worker is 1,002. Alright, so now let's look at whether this curve, or what we call your total production curve, okay, is it consistent with the definition? Alright, the definition tells us that the more variable factor you apply to a fixed factor, okay, you realize that extra output from this additional unit will eventually diminish. So you realize there are additional output for each additional worker. Okay, from 0 worker, you have 0 output. When you have your first worker, you will have increment of 100 output. And when you employ one more worker, okay, let's look at the incremental for every worker. Alright, so from 1 to 2, you're hiring one more worker. You realize what? You realize that you are gaining 200 output instead of the initial 100. Alright, and when you hire one more worker from the second to the third worker, you realize what? Okay, you realize that you are gaining 600 units from the employment of the third worker. Okay, for the second worker that you employ, you are gaining 300 units. And for the fourth worker that you hire, you are experiencing growth in 300 units, which is slower than 600 units. Okay, and similarly, you can actually see that this is 100 units when you hire another worker. And when you hire the last worker, there is a fall. Okay, from 1,003 to 1,002, there is a fall in 100 units of production if you hire the 6th worker. Okay, so this is largely consistent with the definition where it tells you that your extra product, okay, will increase initially, and then your extra product will eventually slow down and fall. So why is this so? Okay, so let's consider this story. Okay, when the farm has no workers, obviously the harvester is not going to be running by itself. Okay, so when there is no worker, the total production is at 0. This is consistent. Alright, so now the farm decides to hire one worker to harvest the weeds. Alright, So you realize that the moment you have somebody on board in the farm, okay, the worker can actually operate the harvester, or the worker can actually choose to plow the harvest with hands or simple machineries by itself. Okay, but whichever way, all right, the the total amount of wheat harvested by the first worker is 100 units. Okay, so now let's look at when you hire the second worker, one more addition worker. You realize that you will experience 200 units of additional wheat harvested from the second worker, okay, resulting in 300 units of wheat total harvested. So why is this so? Why is there an increase in the total harvest or total production? Alright, this is because of this special term called division of labor and specialization. Division of labor simply means one worker can concentrate in driving the harvester, the other worker can concentrate in getting down the harvester and focusing on plowing or harvesting. Alright, so one is focused in driving, the other is sitting on the harvester busy collecting. Alright, so there is clear scope of job division, okay, and this is going to raise the efficiency for harvesting. Alright, and the other one is specialization, meaning to say when a worker focuses on one job, he can actually gain skill set from this job, alright, and eventually he become an expert in this production. So the driver of the harvester can be an expert in the in driving the harvester around the farm, alright, and the person that is focused in harvesting, okay, can actually focus in collecting more harvest. Alright, so now let's look at from the second to the third worker. You realize that your increment of your output is 600, from 300 units to 900 units. The third worker that you actually brought in, okay, it is going to give you so much more additional units. Why? Okay, it all falls under this category. Alright, it could be because the harvester is optimally to be run by 3 workers. Okay, one harvester operator, one plowing on the left and one plowing on the right. Okay, and this is actually going to be the most optimum number of harvesting. Alright, so you realize that initially your output grow at the increasing rate. But now, let's look here. Beyond the third worker, you realize that when you hire the fourth worker, the growth in your harvest is going to be lesser than what you initially experienced. Alright, so initially when you hire the third worker, you are going to have 600 units more of output. But now when you hire the fourth worker, the growth is only 300 units. And why is this so? Alright, this is because your diminishing return has started to come into the picture. So it simply tells you that for this worker, alright, the fourth worker, it could be because on board on the harvester is too small to support 4 workers. Alright, so it may slow down the harvester speed. Alright, this could be one reason, okay, that you actually experience a slowdown in your production. Alright. And when you hire a fifth worker, you realize that the increment is even lesser. Okay, why is this so? Okay, same thing, diminishing return. The harvester is optimal with 3 workers. If you hire the fifth worker, it's going to even slow down the harvester collection. Okay, and not only that, okay, the workers will get into each other's way. All right, 4 workers sitting right at the back of the harvester. In the very small harvester, people will get into each other's harvesting. Okay, they may even fight with each other. Okay, so you realize that your growth is actually slowing down. Okay, and eventually, okay, there is a diminish in your production, meaning to say the 6th worker that you hire, all right, you will experience a fall in your output, not a slowdown in your output anymore, but a fall in your output. Okay, reason being that the workers actually get into each other's way, okay, in such a way that they can no longer coexist, or they can no longer operate together anymore. Okay, so hopefully by telling you a story, you can actually see the relationship of your diminishing return. All right. And later on, we'll be extending this concept, okay, to one of the cost curve that we have later on in the back. All right. So before I forget, the diminishing return comes in from the third worker. Okay. So you realize beyond the third worker, your increment in your output actually slow down. Okay, and the slowdown in your output, alright, is because of law of diminishing return. Okay, where there is a lot of there is crowding out effect on your fixed factor, or your fixed input. Alright, and there are many ways that can affect the slowdown in the production. Alright, so it is beyond the optimum amount of workers anymore. Alright, so let's quickly look at the concept of marginal product. So if you have understand what I have drawn earlier on, alright, for example, okay, so this is actually 300 output and this is 900 output. Alright, so the gain in the output of 600 units, this is the marginal product of third worker. Meaning to say, for the every last variable input that you hire, what is the additional output or additional product that you have? This is the additional product.